So now I'm drying up, and I'm here to tell you about the Marshall Plan. And if you think of the Truman Doctrine as Truman saying we're going to stop communism, the Marshall Plan was his plan to stop it. And Marshall Plan was basically massive wads of cash, which the Americans were willing to take around Europe, or send around Europe, to try to stop Europe from falling to communism, because what they saw happening, or what they thought they saw happening, was country by country, across Europe, Europe was falling to communism. So, the Marshall Plan was announced by a man called, well, funnily enough, George Marshall, who was a general. And what the Americans kind of wanted, which was a bit of a disappointment to them, is they wanted a unified, integrated Europe. They thought when you've got economic and political unity, then it would help Europe to be a more stable place, it would improve the economy, and it might drag some of those eastern states away from communism and towards capitalism because of this prosperous new society. The problem was America was kind of hoping Europe would be a little bit like the United States, with all different states all joined together in a country. I think, anyway. But we're too different. We all speak different languages in Europe, we've got our own national identity, we've got this history of fighting each other for centuries. And so we weren't too keen about all joining together immediately. I mean, I know we've got the European Union, and that sort of thing started to develop eventually, but in the 1940s it wasn't something that we were too keen on, which was a bit of a disappointment, but nevertheless, America still wanted there to be a prosperous Western Europe, because they hoped it would stop the spread of communism. Communism, of course, all about this equality of wealth, and so it appeals very much to poor people. So if you're in a poor country, then it's going to be something that you might want. But if you're in a wealthy country, propped up perhaps by American aid, then you might not fancy communism because you're doing quite well. Another benefit for America is that it meant that these European nations, well, they had to trade with America. Now you can imagine the Soviets. What's going on here? The Americans are trying to impose their will across Europe to try to make everybody capitalist and trade with them. Well, it's kind of what they were doing with Marshall Aid. Now, strangely, and something that's often overlooked, is initially everybody was offered this Marshall Aid across Europe, including the Soviet Union. Because in 1947 there's still a teeny tiny bit of this Grand Alliance still left. But when the Soviets turned up, they didn't want this cash with any conditions like trading with the United States or working in a politically and economically united Europe, because that smells of capitalism. They just wanted free cash. So the Soviet Foreign Minister Molotov, on Stalin's orders, just rejected it and left the conference. And Stalin also, when detailed negotiations got underway, denied all the other Eastern European countries from being able to attend the conference, even though they were invited to take up this free cash with the proviso that you had to trade with America and work together a bit more cooperatively in Europe. So I said it was a bit of a disappointment because the European countries just kept asking for more money. I mean, it's like you give them a bit, they asked for even more. And they didn't seem to really be all up on this working together thing. But the key thing about this Marshall Plan is this was the Americans really putting a stake in the ground and saying, we're going to stop communism spreading across Europe here with this massive pile of cash. And if you accept our cash, then you must trade with us. And it will make America a stronger economy, it will make Europe a stronger economy, and hopefully it will draw those communist countries away from communism. Well, those Eastern European countries kind of